Hi everyone, it's Kate from the Fold Line. I am back this week to talk about the new sewing pattern releases for June. It was a pretty good month, I have to say. We had some really good stuff. I've got loads of things to talk to you about. I'm going to get started, but I will say there is a blog post and a link is down below to the site, so you can go and look at all of the pattern releases for the entire month, because I cherry picked some of my favourites. And then we have a big blog post so you can see everything, because averaging sort of 40 new patterns each month at the moment. So yeah, I can't talk about all of those because otherwise it would be the world's longest video. Right, I'm going to get started. So the first pattern I have to talk to you about is the Wilder gown from the Friday Pattern Company. This comes in sizes UK 6 to 28. It's available in the online shop and I freaking love this pattern. I'm really excited. Rachel is already planning to make this, so I feel like this one's going to be really popular. In terms of construction, actually quite simple. So the pattern features raglan sleeves, which are much easier to insert than a normal sleeve. It's got a sort of gathered neckline with a, it's got kind of a, how do you say, it's got a, come on Kate, it's got like a sort of tube that you feed a ribbon through, so you have a gathered neckline, which means you don't need a bust dart. And then it's got different options. So there's a longer dress that's got 2 tiers of gathering. There's a sort of more tunic-y version, which has just got 1 tier, or there's a top version where you don't have any of the gathering. So it's quite a versatile pattern. You get quite a lot of sort of bang for your buck. There's also 2 options on the sleeve, which is great. I just think it's really, I just love it. I can see so many people making this. It's got quite an ethereal feel to it, and the photography on this was beautiful. I have seen some people make it as well, so I always like to see it on a real body. Yeah, I think it looks good on most body shapes, and especially I was concerned about bigger busts with this, but actually it looks really nice. So I think this is a pretty nice one to kind of do, and I thought this would be great, like if you're going on holiday, put it on over your swimming costume, but you could also make it in a really beautiful crepe or viscose, and it would be like a really nice sort of going out dress as well. So yeah, it's got quite a lot of options. And the blouse, who doesn't need another blouse in their life? Right, next up I have got the Hayley Dungaree from Workshop. This is a relatively new pattern company for us. They just released a collection of patterns for summer. I think there are 5 or 6, and they're definitely worth having a look at, but the Dungarees, I mean, just caught my eye. So this comes in sizes 6 to 16, so slightly narrower size range for this pattern. It's available on the online shop, and it comes in, I think it comes in paper and PDF, which I should know because I put it up on the site. It's quite a simple construction. It's got a seam down the front of the bib, it's got a big pocket. The thing that I really like about it is it's got these really kind of long extended straps, so you button them on and then you have the kind of excess, I don't know why I'm doing that, excess here. And yeah, I think the core, the key to this is fit. As usual with trousers, it's all about the fit, but I feel like if you invest a bit of time getting it right, and because it's a fairly simple construction, it's not so hard to tweak the fit. You know, if you've got a waistband and pockets and stuff, it's more tricky. So this actually, in terms of construction fit issues, it's going to be a bit more simple, but I would recommend, if you do this, to make a toile first, so you have a test run at it beforehand. Yes, so that is my next one, and do go and check out their other, in the blog post I'll put all the pictures of their other kind of collection, the rest of the collection, so you can have a look. Next up we have got the free range slacks from Sew House 7. This comes in sizes 6 to 22, this is UK sizes, and it's available on the online shop. I love this one, I'm really excited about this. It's not often, I'm sure you guys will agree, it's not often that you see a pair of trousers and get quite excited by it, but I just think this is a really clever, fantastic shape, and Soho 7 always do quite interesting silhouettes. I'm always excited to see their new releases. So, key features of the pattern. It comes in two options, so there is a sort of peg leg version, and then there's a sort of straighter leg, kind of almost wider leg crop version. I think, yeah, I really like this. I really like this pattern. So you can see from the line drawing, there are on both options there are these big sort of slanted pockets at the front with big deep pockets so you can store stuff in. It's got elasticated waist. Usually I don't love an elasticated waist, but they've kind of done it in quite a cool way that makes it look almost a bit like that paper bag style trouser. I have to say with this pattern, the core thing to think about is fabric, because the elasticated waist, you have to be really careful with what fabric you use. They have suggested a linen actually, and I agree, something lighter weight. You could use a viscose or a crepe with these, which would look really nice, but I probably wouldn't go too far down the cotton route, because I think you'll end up with bunching excess around the certainly not a heavyweight cotton, like a drill or a denim-y feel. I think that would be too full on. But yeah, something with a nice bit of drape. A crepe actually would be really lovely in this, because it would elevate it to quite a smart pair of trousers. I just love it. I think I probably prefer the straighter leg version of this, but that's just personal preference. But I think it looks great, and it was such a nice pair of things to take on holiday, or now the weather's a bit warmer, just shove them on over a t-shirt, and yeah, I think it's a really cleverly cut pair of trousers. Next up, I have got the Ombre blouse from Lenoline Patterns. They are a relatively new pattern company to our site, and they released this, and I am in love with it. It's called, Ombre blouse. It comes in sizes 8 to 18. It's available on the online shop. So, cool stuff. The sleeve. It's got a massive statement sleeve, which is pretty sexy if I'm being honest. It's got buttons down the front, quite a nice simple, actually very similar sort of neckline to what I'm wearing today, kind of scooping neckline. And also the nice thing I like it is the cuff has a tie detail. Big sleeves, big excess in the sleeves, kind of, it looks, you can see from the sample, it's kind of pleated into the sleeves. The interesting thing I think in terms of the cut of this is that it's a slightly drop sleeve, so the puff doesn't start at the shoulder, it starts further down the sleeve, which is clever because if you have slightly broader shoulders, if you have a puff starting here, it gives you the illusion that your shoulders are wider, whereas having this sort of drop shoulder means that it starts a bit further down, and I think it's a bit more flattering. And I think this would look great in loads of different fabrics. They've suggested cotton and poplins and chambres. I think also viscoses and crepes would look fantastic in this, would make it really kind of drapey. But also something lovely like a seersucker would be really great in this and feel really nice and summery. So that is that one. Next up we have got the tiered blouse from the Maker's Atelier. This comes in sizes 4 to 22. It's not available on the online shop. And I wanted to put this in because it's another nice blouse, and I think I probably end up putting more dresses up, and it's important to have a bit more mix and match stuff. So I wanted to put this one in. If you haven't come across the Maker's Atelier, which you might not have done, they're a UK based company based in down in Brighton, and her stuff's really good. I think her specialism is she picks silhouettes that suit slightly older women, and she's worked in the fashion industry for a long time, and everything she makes is quite cleverly cut. So this pattern, it comes with different variations. So the sample that you can see has got a ruffle around the neck, button down front, and then this panel of kind of gathering around, just kind of that sits above the waistline. Clever thing about this, in terms of a silhouette, if you have a bit of a tummy, which a lot of us do have, this shape is actually really flattering because it sort of glosses over it. It looks like it's quite a statement sort of shape, and yeah, it's a bit more flattering. There are variants of the sleeve as well, so it's got this kind of quite big dramatic sleeve, which in terms you can see on the picture, this seam lines up with the seam on the waist, which is interesting in terms of a silhouette in whole as the whole item. It's just a really lovely, it's just really lovely. And there are variants, so you can leave off the ruffles, you can have it so that you don't have the kind of, you don't have that ruffly panel if you don't want to. You could also make it if you wanted shorter sleeves, if you didn't want to have the kind of big statement sleeve. So there's lots of things that you could do to it. The other thing that I thought would be quite cool looking at it is that instead of leaving the sleeve big and kind of bell shape, well not bell shape, but kind of quite big and dramatic, you could actually add an elasticated, like a sort of a channel around the bottom of the cuff and add a bit of elastic. So that would then bring it in to make it more of a bell shape, which I think in terms of like day-to-day practicability, that's probably a bit more practical, because I know that I would be trailing those sleeves in my lunch. Right, next up we have got the Romy top and dress from Tilly and the Buttons. She released 2 patterns this summer, and I'm sure many of you have bought them or are ogling after them. There is a pair of trousers, but I wanted to talk about this top and dress because I think it's really clever and really classic. So it's a jersey pattern. You can see the key features of the pattern are this sort of statement tie at the back of the top or dress. So it comes in variations. You can either make it into a dress, a top, and then you can have different sleeve options as well. So you can make it into a really basic top with this nice sort of fold over detail on up on the shoulder, or you can have it with this really lovely tie detail at the back, which I adore. And there are so many fun things that you could do with this, and perfect for using up some leftover fabric scraps, because you could have the tie at the back in a different colour to the rest of the garment. You could have, she's done her samples in stripes, and I thought you could even have a different colour stripe just for the tie at the back. It is really, really cute, and I absolutely love this. I think I really want to make it, like I say about everything, but I just think this will be a real wardrobe staple. And I think the dress version, although that shape doesn't tend to suit my figure, I think it's just, yeah, I think it's really lovely. And I think it's really clever to create a fairly simple jersey shape and really elevate it into something quite special. I think that's very clever. So I don't know if I even said what sizes it comes in. So it comes in sizes 6 to 20. It's available on the online shop. And yeah, I think it will be a good staple for summer. Right, the last 3 I'm going to talk about are the latest release from Closet Case Patterns. I thought, as many of you will have seen, I thought it was quite interesting. This is the first time she released a collection of patterns rather than just one. And within the collection there are 3 patterns that are all interchangeable, and I wanted to talk about 3 of them because they all work so well together. So I think if you invested in a couple, you know, it makes nice outfits. And I love it when designers do this, where they create outfits, full looks, rather than just single items. So first we're going to talk about the Petra pants and shorts from Closet Case Bars. This comes in sizes 0 to 20. It's available on the online shop. I will just start by saying, and there has been a lot of talk about this, sizings within the sewing community. Closet Case Patterns is releasing a wider size range at a later point, but I know there was a lot of talk and people saying that she hadn't released this collection of patterns in the bigger size range, but I will say, as someone who has worked for a pattern company, these 3 patterns will have been in the works for probably 8 to 10 months. So by the time she invested in getting new blocks and stuff, this collection will have been far too into development to kind of start. So I know that she is planning to do that, but at the moment it's sizes 0 to 20. UK 4 to 24. So do bear with her, and she is definitely doing it. But I think people sometimes forget that actually most of these companies are working 6 months to a year ahead. So I think she, playing catch up and all that sort of stuff. Right, Petra pants. Really great pattern actually. I think this is really clever. It comes with 3 options. So there's a short, a kind of more tapered, maybe not even tapered, sort of, let's have a look at the slight, peg leg, I guess you would say, a peg leg version, and then a more kind of flared version. I love the pockets on this. I think they're really interesting. So the cool thing about this, which again, you don't see that often, let me just have a look because I'm looking at the actual sample. Yeah, so it's got seams down the centre front of the trouser on the front piece, which is really interesting. And if you've never made trousers before, this is going to make fitting so much easier for you, because you've got a seam down the front and a seam at the side. So you can get it fitting really nicely across the front of your trouser, which is really important. And then the back part of it has elasticated waist. So it's really clever cut, I think. So it's got these kind of great statement kind of pockets, and the short version is also kind of slightly flared, but it's quite a simple construction. So you've got your seams at the front, you've got your big pockets, there's an elasticated waist at the back. I'm assuming, I'm just having a look in terms of what you'll need. No, so you don't need a zip. I thought there might be a zip in the side seam, but there isn't. So really, in terms of finishings of this, it's quite simple. It would be a really good one if you want to, your first pair of trousers. I think the wider leg version particularly would be a really nice place to start, because all you need to do is fit around the hip and tummy, and then the rest will kind of glide over your legs. So I think it's a really lovely pattern. I think this is a really great one. Next up, we've got the Kielo top and dress. Again, this comes in sizes 4 to 24 and is available on the online shop. I think this, out of the 3 of them, is the pattern to have this summer. So many cool options on this. So it comes with so it's got 4 kind of core looks. It's got a cropped sort of top. It's got a sort of another top with a kind of big statement sleeve. It's got a simple shift dress with inseam pockets, and then it's got a shift dress with a statement sleeve. The thing that I really like about the sleeve of the kind of big statement sleeve is it's got a seam, actually hilariously exactly the same as this top I'm wearing. So it's got a seam around here, and it's really clever because you can add a lot more shaping into the sleeve if you have a seam at that point. It also means that it stops it. I definitely find sometimes with the statement sleeve, it kind of overwhelms your silhouette. This, having this sort of nip in at the bottom, means it stops that. But yeah, there are loads of options. I love the crop top version of this. I think the seam lines are really interesting. The cut on it looks great. She shot it on lots of different models and different sizes, so you really get an idea of what you're going to get with it. And I think she's absolutely nailed this. I would definitely be buying this because it's got everything you need. It's just, it's really cool and really clever and screaming out for some linen. So next up, and finally, and I will let you get on with your days because I can see I've been talking for a long time, it's the Fiore skirt from Closet Case Patterns. This again comes in sizes 4 to 24, available on the online shop. I thought I'd talk about a skirt because I very rarely do. This comes with 3 options, and I really like it because quite often when you get 3 options with a pattern, they're not that different, and you feel like sometimes you could have just made those changes on your own. But I think this is really interesting what she's done. So the first version is a really basic, lovely sort of slightly flared A-line skirt. And really simple, waistband, zip up the back, drop, you know, Bob's your uncle. Next version, quite cool. It's this really interesting kind of asymmetric wrap skirt, sorry, button at the on the waistband, and then it's got this cool like slanted pocket, which is really clever because it ties in with the Petra pants, which also has this slanted pocket. And then the last option is button down all the front, buttons all the way down the front, kind of big statement patch pockets on the front as well, which again have a slant on them, which you can either have or leave off, because I quite like the idea of the button down the front without the big pockets. But yeah, they're three very different skirts actually, and I think if you're looking, perfect for beginners, and it looks amazing in linen. She's done I mean, the samples that she's done, I have to say, on these three are really beautiful, because she's kind of used sort of tencel and linen, which are, let's be honest, just a delight to work with and look at. So I am going to love you and leave you. I will leave you to get on with your weekends. I hope you are having a nice creative one and doing some stuff that you'd like to do this weekend. And yes, we will be back soon with another video. Have a good one. Bye.